The day is done. It is time now to let the noise of your world fade into silence. Find your most comfortable position, and for the next few moments, simply relax. Tonight's odyssey is about to begin. Tonight, our journey takes us to a narrow pass between mountain and sea, where the fate of the Western world hung in the balance. We will witness 300 warriors face an empire that stretched from the Aegean to the Indus. We will walk among Spartans who knew they marched toward death, yet marched willingly. And we will seek to understand how a defeat became the most celebrated last stand in human history. This is not merely history. This is the story of how mortal men stood against the inevitable and transformed their doom into legend. Whether you are here for a story to captivate your mind or a grand narrative to accompany you to sleep, your journey starts now. If you enjoy these odysseys, subscribe and join us every time we travel to the past. Now, let us begin. The sun rises over Persepolis, capital of the greatest empire the world has ever known. Towering columns cast long shadows across courtyards where delegates from 100 nations wait to prostrate themselves before the King of Kings. Gold glitters on every surface. The scent of frankincense drifts through halls so vast they seem to mock the scale of ordinary human ambition. This is the heart of the Achaemenid Empire in the year 480 before the Common Era. From the palaces of Susa to the satrapies of Bactria, from the shores of the Mediterranean to the mountains of Hindu Kush, the Persian realm encompasses territories so vast that the sun never sets upon them all at once. 28 nations bow before the peacock throne. The treasury holds wealth beyond calculation. The armies number in the hundreds of thousands. And yet, for Xerxes, son of Darius, grandson of Cyrus the Great, it is not enough. 10 years have passed since Marathon, where his father's invasion of Greece ended in unexpected humiliation. 10,000 Greek hoplites had shattered a Persian force twice their size on the beaches north of Athens. The news had traveled back to Persia like a wound that would not heal. Darius had sworn vengeance but died before he could exact it. Now that oath falls to his son. Xerxes stands at a window overlooking his capital, and in his mind he sees not the empire he possesses, but the small, fractious peninsula across the Aegean that dares to defy him. Greece, with its quarreling city-states, its primitive economies, its laughable pretensions to independence, a collection of cities that should have been absorbed into the empire generations ago. The decision is made, not merely to punish Athens and Eretria for their roles in the Ionian revolt, but to subjugate all of Greece, to extend Persian dominion to the very edge of the known world. This will be no mere punitive raid. This will be a conquest so overwhelming that resistance becomes unthinkable. For 4 years, the empire mobilizes. In shipyards, from Phoenicia to Egypt, craftsmen build a fleet of 1,200 warships. In Anatolia, engineers construct supply depots and granaries. A canal is dug through the peninsula of Athos to spare the fleet from having to round its treacherous cape. 2 pontoon bridges are built across the Hellespont, each one a marvel of engineering, using hundreds of ships lashed together to create a roadway wide enough for 2 chariots to pass. The army that gathers is unlike anything the ancient world has seen. Herodotus, writing a generation later, will claim that it numbered over 2 million souls. Modern scholars suggest perhaps 200,000 combatants, with support personnel swelling the total to perhaps 500,000. Even at the conservative estimate, it is a migration, a nation in motion. Persians in scale armor and tall felt caps, Medes with leather tunics, Assyrians with bronze helmets, Bactrians carrying bows of cane, Indians wrapped in cotton, Ethiopians in leopard skins, Thracians with fox-skin caps. The diversity is staggering, a living demonstration of imperial power. The cavalry alone numbers 80,000. The immortals, the elite corps of 10,000 warriors, whose ranks are immediately refilled when one falls, march in perfect formation. Their spears catch the light like a forest of metal growing from the earth. Their shields gleam like scales on some primordial serpent. This is the force that crosses the Hellespont in the spring of 480. It takes 7 days and 7 nights for the entire host to cross. The bridges groan under the weight. The sea itself seems to strain against the chains that hold it. When Xerxes reviews his army and navy at Dariscus, he is said to have wept. Artabanus, his uncle, asks why tears accompany such magnificence. Xerxes replies that he weeps at the brevity of human life, for of all these thousands before him, not one will be alive in 100 years. The irony escapes him. For many, death lies not a century hence, but mere months away. 700 miles to the south and west, in the harsh valley of the Eurotas River, another society prepares for war. But Sparta is not mobilizing. Sparta is always mobilized. War is not an interruption of Spartan life. War is the purpose of Spartan life. Let us understand this place, for without understanding Sparta, we cannot comprehend what happens at Thermopylae. Sparta is an anomaly among Greek city-states. While Athens celebrates philosophy, drama, and democracy, Sparta celebrates only one virtue, martial excellence. The entire society is organized around creating the perfect warrior. Everything else is secondary. A Spartan boy is examined at birth. If he appears weak or deformed, he is carried to the apothete, a chasm at the foot of Mount Taygetus, and left to die. The strong survive. The weak are culled. This is the first lesson. At age 7, if he has survived, the boy is taken from his mother and enrolled in the agoge, the brutal education system that will consume the next 13 years of his life. He is given one cloak for all seasons. He sleeps on reeds. He gathers himself from the riverbank. He is kept constantly hungry, encouraged to steal food, beaten savagely if he is caught, punished not for stealing, but for incompetence. He learns to read and write, but only what is necessary. Music and poetry are studied, but only to learn rhythm for marching and courage from the old songs. Everything else is training for war: wrestling, boxing, javelin, spear. The phalanx formation practiced until it becomes instinctive, until 30 men move as one organism. At 20, if he survives, he becomes a warrior. But he does not yet enjoy full citizenship. He must be elected to a sicitiation, a military mess, where he will eat every meal for the rest of his life with the same 15 men. If accepted, he marries, but he does not live with his wife. He continues to sleep in the barracks until age 30. His wife's head is shaved on their wedding night. Some scholars suggest this is to ease the transition for men accustomed to the company of other men. Children are produced as a duty, not a joy. This system creates something unprecedented, a professional warrior class in an era of citizen soldiers. While other Greeks train for war occasionally, between harvest and planting, Spartans train for nothing else. While other cities field armies of farmers who happen to fight, Sparta fields an army of fighters who happen to have farms, tended by the enslaved Helot population. The result is visible in every movement. A Spartan phalanx does not simply march. It flows like water, cohesive and unstoppable. The shields overlap with geometric precision. The spears thrust in perfect unison. The formation can wheel, advance, retreat, compress, and expand without breaking. It is not men fighting. It is a single armored beast with thousands of legs and hundreds of spears. This is perhaps their most unsettling quality. They fear only dishonor. To return from battle without one's shield, to retreat without orders, to show cowardice in any form, these are the unforgivable sins. Death in battle is not tragedy. It is the consummation of a life properly lived. Spartan mothers tell their sons, "Return with your shield or on it." There is no third option. In this valley of harsh laws and harder men, news of the Persian advance arrives like distant thunder. Athens sends envoys. The oracle at Delphi delivers cryptic prophecies. Messengers bring reports of the size of the approaching army, numbers so large they seem like fantasy. The Spartan response is deliberation. This is the month of Carnaia, a sacred festival during which Spartan law forbids warfare. The ephors, the 5 elected officials who govern Sparta, debate. To march now would violate sacred custom. To wait might doom Greece. A compromise is reached. Sparta will send an advance force, a symbolic contingent to join the allied Greek resistance at a strategic location, while the main army finishes the religious observances and then follows. This advance force will be small, 300 men, chosen personally by King Leonidas. But not just any 300 men. Leonidas selects only those with living sons. The significance of this choice echoes through the barracks. Everyone understands. This is not a deployment. This is a sacrifice. These men are chosen to die so that their bloodlines continue through their sons. Leonidas himself is nearly 60, ancient for a warrior. He is the younger son who never expected to be king. His older brother Cleomenes had ruled, descended into madness, and died under mysterious circumstances. Leonidas inherited a throne he never sought, and a crisis he cannot avoid. He chooses his men carefully, veterans all, fathers all, men who have lived full lives and will leave sons to remember them. There are no young warriors in this 300, no untested boys eager for glory, only hard men who understand exactly what is being asked of them. They prepare in silence. They oil their armor. They sharpen their spears. They braid their long hair, which Spartan warriors grow and groom with almost feminine care. Long hair, they say, makes a handsome man more handsome and a frightening man more frightening. Before battle, they comb it carefully. If they are to die, they will die beautiful. The night before departure, Leonidas dines with his wife, Gorgo. She is the daughter of Cleomenes, both wife and niece, though such arrangements are not unusual among Spartan royalty. She is known for her intelligence, one of the few Greek women whose words are recorded by historians. As he prepares to leave, she asks him what she should do. He gives her an answer that will be remembered for millennia. Marry a good man and have good children. He knows he will not return. She knows he will not return. This is their farewell. While Sparta deliberates and Persia advances, the rest of Greece descends into controlled panic. The threat is existential. If Persia conquers Greece, Hellenic civilization ends. Greek culture, philosophy, governance, all of it will be absorbed into the vast, homogenizing empire. The very concept of the free city-state will disappear. But unity does not come easily to the Greeks. They are a fractious people, quick to quarrel, slow to cooperate. Athens and Sparta have been rivals for generations. Thebes harbors old grudges against Athens. Argos maintains a blood feud with Sparta. Dozens of smaller cities pursue their own interests with little regard for the collective good. Yet the Persian threat is so overwhelming that even Greeks cannot ignore it. A congress is called at Corinth. Delegates from 31 city-states attend. This, in itself, is remarkable. Greek unity on anything is rare. Greek unity in the face of external threat is nearly unprecedented. The Athenians arrive with a navy of 200 triremes, the largest fleet in Greece, built with silver from the mines at Laurium. Their general, Themistocles, is already thinking several moves ahead. He understands that this war will be won or lost at sea, that Xerxes' massive army cannot be sustained without naval supply lines, but he also knows that the army must be delayed long enough for the naval strategy to work. The Spartans arrive with prestige but little immediate military contribution. Their main army is detained by religious festivals, but their reputation alone carries weight. If Sparta is willing to fight, others take courage. The strategic problem is daunting. Xerxes is advancing south through Thrace and Macedonia, absorbing territories as he goes. Some Greek cities eagerly submit, offering earth and water, the traditional symbols of submission to Persian authority. Others waver, waiting to see which way the wind blows. The Greeks need to fight the Persians somewhere that negates their numerical advantage. In open terrain, the Persians will simply envelop and crush any Greek force. But if the Greeks can find a place where geography restricts the Persian deployment, where numbers become irrelevant, they might have a chance. 2 locations are chosen. The fleet will engage at Artemisium, a strait off the coast of Euboea. The army will make its stand at Thermopylae, the hot gates, so named for the thermal springs that bubble from the ground, creating a permanent mist that hangs over the area like a veil. It is a narrow pass between the mountains and the sea, the primary route from northern to southern Greece. The pass is so narrow that in places only a single wagon can traverse it. Vertical cliffs on one side, the ocean on the other. Here, the allied Greeks decide they will stop Xerxes. The force that gathers at Thermopylae numbers perhaps 7,000 men. 300 Spartans under Leonidas, 700 Thespians, 400 Thebans, whose loyalty is suspect, but who come nonetheless. 1,000 Phocians, contingents from Mycenae, Corinth, Mantinea, and a dozen smaller cities. Not an army, really, a coalition, a desperate alliance held together by fear and the fragile hope that it might work. Leonidas takes command, not because Sparta contributes the most men, but because only a Spartan king carries enough prestige to lead Greeks from different cities. Athens has more soldiers, Corinth has more wealth, but neither has the mystique of Sparta. The Greeks arrive at Thermopylae in late August. The pass is as narrow as promised, at its tightest point only 15 meters wide. The old Phocian wall still stands, crumbling but defensible. They set to work rebuilding it, mortaring stones, sharpening stakes, preparing the ground. From the wall, they can see north along the pass. Somewhere beyond the horizon, the Persian host approaches. Reports filter in. The advance scouts have been sighted. The main army is 3 days away, 2 days, 1 day, and then, one morning, the northern horizon darkens, not with storm clouds, but with dust, the dust of 1,000,000 feet. The Persians have arrived. The Persian army does not arrive all at once. It seeps into view like a slow flood. First come the scouts, horsemen who survey the pass and wheel back to report. Then the advance units, light infantry spreading across the landscape like oil on water. Then the main host, a river of humanity that takes hours to pass any given point. From the rebuilt Phocian wall, the Greeks watch in silence. There are no words adequate for what they are seeing. The Persian force stretches back as far as the eye can perceive. Campfires that night will number in the tens of thousands. The sound of that many men, that many animals, that much equipment creates a low rumble that seems to come from the earth itself. Xerxes establishes his command post on high ground overlooking the pass. His throne is brought, a work of gold and precious stones. From this elevated position, he can observe the entire battlefield. He can see the narrow passage. He can see the Greeks huddled behind their wall. He can see the sea to the east and the mountains to the west. What he sees must seem absurd. Fewer than 10,000 Greeks preparing to resist an army of hundreds of thousands. It is not merely foolish. It is incomprehensible. What do these people imagine they can accomplish? On the 4th day after the Persians arrive, Xerxes sends a herald. The message is simple: surrender your arms and you will be spared. The Greeks need only acknowledge Persian supremacy, bow before the King of Kings, and this can end without bloodshed. Leonidas's response enters history: Molen Lab, come and take them. The herald returns to Xerxes and delivers the Spartan king's answer. Xerxes, we are told, laughs. Very well. 4 days to watch the Persian army prepare, 4 days to count the campfires and understand their situation is hopeless, 4 days to let their courage crumble. But Xerxes fundamentally misunderstands who he is dealing with. During these 4 days of waiting, a Persian scout rides close to the Greek position to observe. What he reports back to Xerxes seems to confirm that the Greeks have lost their minds. The Spartans, the scout says, are outside the wall, exercising naked. Some are combing their long hair. They appear to be engaged in athletic games. They do not act like men about to fight for their lives. They act like men at a festival. Xerxes finds this baffling. He summons Demaratus, an exiled Spartan king now in Persian service, and asks for an explanation. Demaratus tells him something the King of Kings does not want to hear. The Spartans, Demaratus explains, prepare their bodies and groom their hair before battle because they are about to face death. It is their custom to appear beautiful when they fight, and they do not fear the Persian multitude because Spartans are trained from childhood to fear only dishonor. Death holds no terror for them. Xerxes dismisses this as the rambling of a bitter exile, but Demaratus presses his point. These men will not surrender, he insists. They will fight until they are all dead, and though they are few, they are the finest warriors in Greece. Xerxes has heard enough. On the 5th day, he orders the attack. Dawn breaks cool and clear. The morning wind carries salt from the sea. The Medes and Scythians will attack first, fresh troops eager to prove themselves. They number 10,000. The expectation is that they will simply crush the Greek line through sheer weight of numbers. The attack begins mid-morning. The Medes advance in loose formation, thousands of men moving up the pass toward the Phocian wall. They carry spears shorter than the Greek dory. Their armor is lighter, leather, and wicker shields rather than the heavy bronze of the hoplites. They rely on mobility and archery, tactics perfectly suited for the open plains of Asia but poorly adapted to this narrow, confined space. The Greeks wait. Leonidas has positioned his men carefully. The Spartans hold the center. Other allied contingents are arranged on the flanks and in reserve. The formation is 8 men deep, each file a column of overlapping shields. The front rank crouches slightly, spears angled forward. This is the phalanx, the formation that has dominated Greek warfare for 2 centuries. It is not sophisticated, it is not flexible, but in terrain like this, against opponents like these, it is devastatingly effective. The Medes reach the wall and surge forward, climbing over it, pressing toward the Greek line. For a moment, the 2 forces are separated by mere feet, and then they collide. The sound is terrible. Bronze on bronze, wood splintering, men screaming. The Medes crash against the phalanx like a wave against rocks. The Greek line does not bend. The longer Greek spears, the dory measuring 7 to 9 feet, strike the Persians before the Persian weapons can reach the Greeks. Men in the front rank of the Median advance are impaled before they can close the distance. Those behind push forward, trampling the wounded, and die in turn. The Greeks push back. The phalanx, all 8 ranks moving in unison, surges forward half a step, then another, driving the Persians back through sheer coordinated mass. The Spartans grunt in rhythmic unison with each thrust, a sound like some great beast breathing. The Medes break. It takes less than an hour. They have never faced anything like this. The coordination, the discipline, the sheer immovable solidity of the phalanx is beyond their experience. They retreat in disorder, streaming back up the pass, leaving their dead heaped before the Greek wall. Xerxes watches from his throne. What he has just witnessed makes no sense. 10,000 Medes, brave soldiers who have conquered nations, repulsed by a fraction of their number. By midday, the Persian casualties number in the thousands, the Greek casualties number in the dozens. The mathematics are impossible. At this rate, Xerxes could lose his entire army before killing all the Greeks. When one falls, another immediately takes his place, maintaining the unit at exactly 10,000 men. The immortals are skilled. They coordinate their attacks. They probe for weaknesses in the phalanx. They fight with ferocity and tactical intelligence, and they achieve nothing. The phalanx holds. Spartans in the front ranks fight with mechanical precision. The immortals discover what the Medes and Scythians learned earlier. Courage means nothing against a phalanx in confined terrain. And as long as they hold their formation, they cannot be moved. Leonidas employs a tactic that sows confusion among the Persians. At intervals, the Greek line appears to break,